Welcome, everybody. We are blessed to be joined today with a guest as we discuss our next chapter of Matthew, and I'll let him introduce himself.
Hi, my name is Angel Cinco. I'm a member of St. Patrick's here in Dublin, Ohio. I've been a member since 2017 and haven't looked back.
Lovely, lovely. All right, so we're talking about Matthew 15 today. How would you outline this chapter? Like what goes on in this chapter?
I broke it down into four sections. I broke it down into being mired with tradition and
Mm-hmm.
also using your heart to move your life, to speak your truth, uh, faith, and then a miracle. So it starts out with the elders coming to Jesus and talking to him about breaking tradition, and what this was the part that really spoke to me. I grew up with a lot of tradition, very religious family, and as a child, I didn't understand the tradition, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that was part of what was going. So my parents were so mired in keeping tradition, in you pray, you do the rosary at this time, you do it at the altar in the living room, and what I really think about, when you stick so heartily to a tradition, you forget what you're doing it for.
Mm.
And I think that's what Jesus was trying to say here. You know, you're you're so caught up in the washing of their the hands that you forget what's really going on here, that you're breaking bread with God. And not to get out of Matthew, but part of our Advent calendar on Tuesday, or yeah, the Tuesday one, or and living well through Advent, being and doing, kind of spoke about this part about tradition. In the Tuesday reading, it was really about knowing, being still and know that I am. And I
Mm.
think that spoke about the tradition. You don't have to really follow the tradition step by step by step to understand that what you're really doing is worshiping God. And when people mix the two, I think, get mired in doing the tradition step by step, washing your hands, doing this before you eat, you forget that you are, what we ultimately need to do is worship God. And
Yeah, it's like which is the purpose? Is the purpose the tradition, or the purpose God? Is the tradition a means by which we engage with God, or is the tradition becoming the end in and of itself? You know, yeah, I recently forgot who it was that said to me, said the purpose of tradition is to keep the fire burning, not preserve the ashes, right? And I think sometimes, yeah, we all can kind of get into even minor traditions. They have to happen a certain way, like even within our family, or something is somehow lost. And I think that is true to some extent, except when the tradition becomes the idol, right? And our devotion is to the tradition as opposed to our devotion being to God, and the tradition is a means of practicing our devotion to God. Is that kind
yes,
of what you're saying?
yeah, you said it more
Yeah.
eloquently, but yeah, that's basically what I was trying to say was, you know, again, with the living well through Advent, the be still and know that I am God. And I think that's what we ultimately need to do.
Yeah.
Be still and forget about the activities, forget about, just be still. The prayer that she said was, she starts out, be still and know that I am God, be still and know God, and she takes a word out until it ultimately ends the prayer with, be. And I think that's what we need to do, is just be. Doesn't have to be tradition. It doesn't have to be a step by step way of worshiping. I think God will just accept us as, I'm here to worship you. I'm being. So,
Yeah, and I think that the liturgy and our traditions are at their best when they help us do that. Does that make sense?
yes.
You know, they're a tool, and that's the proper place for us to view them as a mechanism, as a tool in which we are able to just be with God and offer ourselves as an offering to God. And then when if we get that out of order and we think that the tradition, if we, I don't know, somehow take God out of the equation and then tradition becomes more important, then we get problematic. And Advent is a very tempting season to do that. We can get, some folks get really worked up about the notion that, oh, you put your Christmas tree up before Christmas, or you sang Christmas carols before Christmas. We gotta, do these things in the right time and order. And I think that that's a temptation. It's a temptation to put our piety ahead of God, or over influence over, instead of seeing piety as a means by which to be with God, to simply just be with God. Then the piety somehow becomes the end, as opposed to God being the end. And then I think we get into some troublesome waters. I think our piety should make us, not only just help us facilitate us being with God, it should make us kinder and less judgmental and more open. And if it's not, and if it's not serving that purpose of helping us be with God so that we can be transformed into more loving and caring individuals, then we shouldn't practice it at all. And that Jesus seems to go that way in the first section of 15, for sure. Well, thank you so much for sharing your insights with us. We greatly appreciate it. And huge thank you to our guest, Angel Cinco, today. And I want to encourage y'all to keep reading. We are in the second half of Matthew's Gospel. Keep reading. You can do this. We can make it all the way to Christmas Eve and finish the book. Please do hit the like and subscribe button, as well as support the ministries of St. Patrick's by going to pats-dublin.org/give and making a contribution today. I really appreciate that you tuned in today, and I want you to remember, God loves you more than you can possibly imagine.